So, welcome back to West China Tea. We're here with Sohan at the Tea House once again, and we've got guests. Amanda Beckwith is back from Virginia Distillery, and she has a friend that's a big tea head that works at Few Spirits. And so we're going to have some fun and try some whiskey and try some tea. Sohan, what tea do we have today?
Oh, well, okay. Welcome, by the way, to our tea house. Like I was saying earlier before we started filming, not often are our guests already knowledgeable about tea, so that was really exciting. We had some nerdy tea talk about the New York tea scene earlier, so that was really cool. And then based on what she brought, I picked a Sheng Puerh because my favorite kind of tea. I feel like it's kind of a non-intuitive choice to pair with whiskey because people tend to want to pair teas that are like whiskey, dark, earthy, woody, those sort of notes. But I actually really like the contrast, and I chose this because it's a light tea. It's a fresh Sheng Puerh. I'll let y'all smell it. It's a fresh Sheng Puerh, which is a subcategory of green tea from Yunnan. It's not the fermented pu'er we usually think of when we think of pu'er, like the dark, earthy pu'er. And that's what you'd pair with whiskey. I say traditionally, meaning like that's what we've been doing in Austin this whole time. But I like when you get, here, y'all can smell it too. Phantom is off screen, you can smell the tea.
We have an audience today.
A live studio audience gets to smell the tea, yeah. But then also because of something about the nature of this whiskey that I'll let Erin introduce, I chose this tea for another reason, but I'll actually, yeah, if you want to introduce the whiskey, then I'll add more info.
So the whiskey I brought along today is Few Spirits collaboration with the Smashing Pumpkins. So Billy Corgan and his wife Chloe, they have a tea shop in Highland Park, Illinois, so it's about 30 minutes north of the distillery, and they had this particular tea. It's I guess red tea scented with rose petals, and so we use that to be the proofing water in the liquid instead of bringing it from like around like cask strength at like 123 to 127 ish proof for us. Like we brought it down to 93 using the tea. I also wanted to give a little bit more intense flavor, so we did like a bit of an alcohol steeping as well.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now, how much tea in volume did you use? Because, I'm sure...
No, in mass.
In mass. There you go.
Mass.
I feel like we were putting together these giant tea bags in nylon that were probably 25 pounds of tea at a time.
Wow.
So they were quite heavy, especially once they got saturated in liquid.
Okay.
Yeah, wow.
Okay. Cool.
That is amazing.
Using it as the proofing water is really interesting. I hadn't thought about that because there's often people talk about how do we get tea and liquor together. And you can steep it in the liquor, you can make a cocktail with it, there's different way, you can distill it with it, you could put the tea leaves, in the still, but using it as the proofing water is really the most direct way because then you can actually make the tea, control the quality of the tea before it is in the finished product, and you have a really clear idea of these two things are going together. Also, when I saw this bottle, I was like, interesting that they chose to name this whiskey Smashing Pumpkins. It seems like a copyright infringement until I knew it was actually a Billy Corgan Smashing Pumpkins product, so that's really cool, a collab.
Yeah, it was fun to get to work with them, and they are passionate about using nice quality tea, so it's like more than whiskey fans, they're tea fans.
Amazing.
It was fun to be able to use something that they love.
Well, tell them to come next time. Bring them next time.
Yeah.
Bring them to the tea house. Tell them we love tea here too. Also, big Smashing Pumpkins fan from way back in the day. That was my era. I grew up in that era, right? But so that was the punchline there is that I chose this tea because it has flowers. One of those flowers is rose. Another one is chrysanthemum. There's both white and yellow chrysanthemums and roses in with this Sheng Puerh. So again, to reiterate for anyone who's not familiar, there's tea, then there's herbal tea. Tea is just this one plant. Herbal tea is every other plant. So chrysanthemum and rose and chamomile and ginger and mint and hibiscus and all those things are not tea. They don't have tea in them. Chamomile does not have tea in it. You can say chamomile tea, but what you mean is chamomile herbal tea, chamomile infusion, chamomile tisane. Nothing wrong with them. Love herbs, they're great, but they're not tea. Tea is just the one plant. So this is the tea plant mostly, with some herbs added in, some flowers, and namely white chrysanthemum, yellow chrysanthemum, and rose. And because rose is so dominant, it's just such a dominant fragrance that, and I like this because it's light on the rose. I think a lot of times when people hear rose tea, they assume it's, whether it's got tea in it or not, that it's just going to be this perfumey blast. These are Yunnan roses. They're not the Damascus rose, which is what we use in the West. This is a Yunnan rose called Dianhong. Roses are actually from China. They're from Yunnan. That's where they were domesticated. And every domesticated rose traces its genetics back to China. And so they've been using, people don't know that. We think of it as this very English, the English, the French, they really associate with the rose strongly. But we have roses because of Chinese botanists cultivated roses in China, and they made their way through the Middle East and the Silk Road to the rest of the world. And so this is this more ancient rose. This is Dianhong. This is a Yunnan rose that has been used as an edible rose for thousands of years. And eating and drinking roses is very common in Yunnan. So normally you see rose tea, rose-scented or flower-scented tea in the West. A lot of those are Western inventions, usually to cover up the taste of inferior tea with the smell of flowers. And so in the tea nerd world, they kind of have a bad rep, but I've been really getting into some of these very traditional, all three of those traditional, roses, both types of chrysanthemum are very traditional things to blend into tea. Sheng Puerh is a little bit of an interesting choice because usually it's red tea, aka black tea, the type of tea that's in this. But I chose not to go that way because I found that I think people often want to layer flavors with tea and whiskey, but I actually like contrasting better. I for example, like a smoky whiskey, I won't pair smoky tea with because then it's just smoke on smoke. You don't taste the smoke anymore. I like to pair something different and then maybe pair a smoky tea with a non-smoky whiskey. But let's see how this one goes. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little steep. For those of you who are not familiar with this practice, this is gongfu cha. This is a traditional style of Chinese tea service from southeastern China. I'm just gonna give it a little rinse real quick that y'all can pour on your tea pets.
So we were actually quite blessed because this weekend there was a lot of activity. Sohan and all of us were at the Crowded Barrel Bastards Ball. And then yesterday we were all at a wedding together, and today we're at the tea house.
I wasn't at the wedding.
But yeah, it's been a fun weekend of whiskey and companionship with friends.
Love that. Okay, I want to let y'all smell this. It's quite warm. This part's warm, so lift it up by the saucer. You can get a little waft and then set it down for your neighbor. I've got a rinse here. You can do this for them, Richard. Pour this on the monkey. Give it to the monkey.
This will warm up your cups.
Y'all can give this to your monkey. Erin, if you want to use the dragon or the chanchu, little frog, you can do the little frog.
If you want to have a sip, you can certainly have a sip.
Oh, no, actually, I'll smell this over here. Give that a smell. So what you're smelling when you smell this, you smell the flowers, obviously, and then under that there's this vegetal, earthy, spinachy kind of Sheng Puerh note. That's just kind of how Sheng is. It's not, I think of Sheng as like the single malt of the tea world because it's kind of an acquired taste. It's, when someone first starts drinking, they're going to be drinking like Smirnoff Ice or something like that. You know what I mean? You kind of got to work your way up to like cask strength straight whiskey. That's something, if you're there, you have acquired the taste. You have had to probably, work through the burn of the alcohol and the tannic notes of the wood that are not what kids, for example, are acclimated to think is good, and then find the beauty of the flavor there. Sheng is a lot like that, and I find that tea people do, after a long time, a lot of times gravitate towards Sheng Puerh. That's what happened with me. So this is, you can think of this as kind of like a really fancy, maybe somewhat edgy whiskey that also has got some fragrances involved, some kind of additional ingredients, that being the flowers in this case. I'll go ahead and do 2 steepings. I like to wait until we're in the peak of the tea to serve the whiskey, since it gives us the chance to taste the tea. So I'll go ahead and do 2 for us right now, and then we'll taste the whiskey on the next little go round.
does look like a bit of a greener Sheng, just based on
Oh,
the
yeah,
color
it's-
and the aroma.
It's fresh, yeah, it's a fresh one. It's not aged. This is a type of tea that is traditionally aged, but this particular cake is not old. And I like it fresh and aged. I like both at different times.
Perfect.
I have to say, that was quite a move to go both-handed.
Oh, thank you. This is my job.
It's impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, smell first, slurp as you sip it, and then after you swallow, exhale through your nose.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. It's very balanced.
Yeah, it doesn't have a whole lot of floral character.
No, it's very restrained. It's very balanced. They
Yeah.
complement each other well. You also don't get that blast of bitterness that you usually get with fresh Sheng Puerhs. I think that part of that is this is really nice Sheng. This is Nanhua Mountain Sheng Puerh, and it's just really nice. It's a little bit older leaves, a little bit bigger leaves, so closer to that Huangpian type of Sheng. And that gives it a little bit more mellow flavor, a little bit more body, and then that pairs well with this. Again, relatively sparse florals. It's not half and half. You know, it's like the tea is the gin and the flowers are the vermouth. You know, sort of situation.
With jasmine tea, I find that a little bit like you can have a few sips and it's okay, but then if you have too much, it just becomes cloying.
Right. Yeah, that's the trick with flowers and tea is you don't want to overwhelm the tea with the flowers.
We have to get that kind of balance when we're making whiskey as well, trying to balance the different barrels from the different parts of the rickhouse to get the flavors that we're looking for. What did you do? What was your approach trying to blend the tea into the bourbon?
So I think we had the fortune of being able to work with, I guess when you create something with tea, you don't need to wait all of that time for it to age in barrel. So it's an experiment that you can put into action relatively quickly. And we didn't want it to be like a flavored whiskey.
Right.
We wanted the whiskey to still shine through, so we chose barrels that were all 4+ years old, and I feel like with this whiskey you get like a lot of vanilla and caramel notes that you expect from a bourbon, but I think what the tea does is it adds like kind of a texture to the mouthfeel, and it elongates the finish, and that's where I think a lot of the rose comes through. Like I didn't want that to be the dominant taste of this.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Amanda, did you want to pour some up?
I mean, absolutely.
Perfect. And we get to try some of that with the tea.
Great cover art. Why is it called Few Spirits?
Oh, that's the distillery.
I know, but why? What's the story behind the name
The
Few?
story is Evanston, the town in which Few is located. It's like the first northern suburb outside of Chicago, but it was kind of the heart of the temperance movement.
Oh.
And one of the leaders of the temperance movement was this woman named Frances Elizabeth Willard. So it's kind of a nod to her initials, a little cheeky.
Oh.
I honestly didn't realize that temperance was, or kind of alcohol restrictions were in place until 1972 in Evanston.
Wow.
So it's pretty wild. And I think the other connotation for Few is it's kind of something that's precious and special. So.
Yeah, I'll take the little one.
All right. Yeah, the temperance movement was a really interesting time. They were Bible thumpers. They were walking into bars. They were smashing barrels and bottles, and there were a lot of women that were part of that temperance movement, and they were ticked off. They didn't want the people drinking, and they were going to make sure that they were not going to be getting any alcohol. And axes and breaking things.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a burn. It's a little bit of shade almost, though. It's hey, lady, we're making whiskey. We got your name on it.
People think that the consumption is high now, but back then the consumption was a lot higher. And so people were drinking all day, every day, and they were drunk on the streets, and it was just not good socially. It was not a social thing at that time. So
For sure. I think it made it challenging for women to just exist peacefully and thrive. So I think Frances Elizabeth Willard ultimately wanted every woman to be able to be independent and have a good life, and that's what whiskey's done for me. So
Cool.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers.
cheers.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, now chase it with the tea. Yeah.
Yeah, the way the finish from the whiskey just mingles in
Yeah.
with the notes from the top.
A lot of fruit note in there.
Yeah.
I'm getting some type of cherry note in there.
Yeah.
And
Honey.
vanilla.
That's actually really nice together.
Yeah. This one does it. This one does it. That's why I chose this one, because I feel like if I'd gone with a red tea, aka black tea, which is what's in the whiskey, I feel like they would be competing. But I feel like when they go really well, I feel like you've got a quality where the tea, despite being hot, cuts the burn of the whiskey. And when it's a bad pairing, it adds to the burn of the whiskey. And then you get emergent flavors. Like when I try them together, when I try the whiskey by itself, I've got more of this oak, vanilla. There's something in there I want to say specifically.
And it's not too tannic. Like you would think
No, it's not.
that the tea may bring some extra tannins to it, and it's not doing that.
It's a careful balance with the steeping, especially with the alcohol steep portion, because you could definitely pull out a lot of those tannins quickly and make things easily undesirable. So it's just being careful. It's like when Sohan prepares tea. He could, if he spent a few seconds too long, the tea becomes a different animal.
But this is a really nice whiskey, and
Yeah,
the
it
tea
is.
is a good compliment.
The part that I get coming out of it that's not in either one by themselves is almost like a candy corn / have you ever had the white rabbit candies?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, white rabbit candy. It's a Chinese candy. It's like a Chinese milk candy. They're kind of like candy corn. It's like a little chewy thing. They're really good. That's definitely a childhood memory. But that, I get the combination of the tea with the vanilla and cherry notes on this emerges as, with the tea, emerges as this white rabbit. It's really not candy corn. It's just candy corn shaped, similar idea. It's not pointy like candy corn, but just, same neighborhood. They're way better than candy corn.
So a lot of the women that were around this weekend, you all ended up meeting on Zoom, didn't you?
Oh,
to
yeah.
begin with?
It was kind of, actually, I originally met Hannah, who's off camera now, but through our Whiskey Foundation, and we were mentees in the same cohort, and we just started chatting, and we're like, hey, do you want to send each other samples and meet up? And then after, she was like, hey, do you want to invite some more women in the industry? And I felt like such a baby in the industry. I couldn't believe that amazing people like Amanda and Caitlin Bartlemay and
Emma
Emma
Crandall,
Crandall,
yes.
were willing to be on this call with me, but I was just okay, super nervous, and we've since become really good friends and great supporters of each other. So.
And inside of our community, we're all looking at you guys as superstars. It's like the internal celebrities of our little whiskey world. So it's fun watching what you guys are doing and the products that you're bringing out. And this tea and whiskey adventure is now into an actual expression, which makes me happy that somebody else is thinking tea and whiskey.
Erin has such an impressive story. The way she got into whiskey was through tea.
Oh,
Yes.
let's hear. We have to hear that.
Yes.
Okay. So I think it was, I went on a trip to Asia for a month, and I had grown up drinking a lot of tea, but it was just associated with food. Like it's like, oh, I'd have some genmai cha if I went to like a Japanese restaurant. I'd have jasmine tea, not very good jasmine tea if I went to a Chinese restaurant.
Right.
And then I definitely tried pu'er a few times, and at which point, since it was such poor quality pu'er, I just was like, this is like a basement.
Yeah.
This is not. And so I didn't really get deep into tea. And then when I was in China, I realized, oh, like however they process this one plant, it's amazing because it can taste completely different. I am gluten intolerant and dairy intolerant. And then I was like, I'm tasting all of these flavors in foods that I miss in tea. So I was amazed by the complexity of it all.
Wow.
My husband was like, hey, maybe you should study tea, because my colleague's doing a tea course. And I was like, what on earth am I going to do with that? And he was just like, just, you like it, so just see where it takes you. Like, don't squash it so early. And I was just like, okay, I'll see. So I started taking some tea courses through the Tea and Herbal Association of Canada. And then I was like, I am so hooked. And I thought that the process of tasting was so much fun, and I liked the opportunity to slow down and like think about flavor, and that was like, hey, this is not so dissimilar from whiskey. So I joined a lot of Zoom tastings during COVID. I started reading books about whiskey, listening to podcasts, and next thing I knew, I was like, I wonder if I can work in this industry and make money from it, since my brain space is obviously occupied by it. And then I found an opportunity through Instagram actually to apply for an internship. That was brand new. The American Craft Spirits Association launched a program called Step Up to help diversify the spirits industry. I was one of the first 2 guinea pig interns, and I set off for an entire year where I trained at distilleries, including Westward Whiskey in Portland, 8 Oaks, which is a family farm distillery in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we love those.
Me too, that's my favorite.
And then like a really large distributor up in Arlington at RNDC, as well as spend a number of weeks at Diageo facilities, including Cascade Hollow in Tennessee, Bullet Distilling in Shelbyville, and Stitzel-Weller. So at the end of this, I was like, I love this industry, I want to work in it, and I learned without a doubt that I wanted to be a creator and a maker. And when I got the opportunity to join the team in Chicago at FEW, I jumped because I feel like I met half the team, I think, randomly at various conventions, and I was like, these people seem nice. And after my past life was in the fashion industry, and after that I was just like, I need to work with kind, nice people.
So I saw something on the little resume that Amanda sent that said tea sommelier. And in the whiskey world, the whiskey marketing school, they came up with whiskey sommelier as a concept, and they got a lot of blowback.
For sure.
Is the same thing happening using the term sommelier tied to tea?
I would say that in some ways there is no, I guess, governing body within the world. So it's like every program is slightly different, and the content of the program and how in-depth it is up to the individual issuing
the certification.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I think it's a hard thing to like quantify.
Yeah.
For me, I like structured learning, so I got to go through 8 different modules, and at the end I had to blind taste, I think, 10 teas, and I didn't know, I had to name the type, country, and potentially region if it was India. So like,
if specifically India?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why? But not for China or Japan or anything like that?
No. So
oh, interesting.
Were
they as an Indian tea organization issuing this?
No, it was the Tea and Herbal Association of Canada.
Oh,
But I
okay.
think
Interesting.
they had determined that like there's enough differences between the Darjeeling region, Nilgiris, Assam, that someone completing this course should be able to distinguish that. But it was quite a lot of practice for me.
Yeah, that's tricky.
And I think I love tea, but I am also a little bit caffeine sensitive sometimes. So the higher caffeine in the Somme without milk, I was like, oh, it slightly triggers my gag reflex, and that helps me like pick up. This is a Somme, okay.
The thing in the whiskey world is probably the same in the tea world. The more you learn, the deeper the rabbit hole keeps getting.
Sure.
You find people that know things on an adjunct that you didn't even know existed, which is fun.
So I think I missed how we got from tea to whiskey, though. I remember you getting into tea,
Yeah.
and then it was just being exposed to the breadth and depth of tea. You were like, whiskey's kind of like that. Let me
Yeah.
explore whiskey.
Oh, pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah, the tasting process I feel like is quite similar. Like you're taking the time to smell it before you put it in your
Pour some of it.
mouth, and then you're taking time to think about what's there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So I just thought it was a lot of fun and a lot of parallels.
Yeah, there are so many parallels. That's why we do whiskey stuff, is because it's just, I think, there's obviously, the different cultures of connoisseurship have different resonances with tea. Coffee is similar because they're both hot beverages. Tobacco is similar because they're both leaves. Wine is similar because they're both plants. But whiskey's similar because there's so much craft. I think that's where there's craft, there's age statements, there are certain resonances between tea and whiskey, and I think that the degree to which the whiskey community revels in that craft like so strongly, mash bills and barrels and all of those minute details, and you can have all that info for tea, and it's there and it matters a lot, and they'll get into it to the same degree. I think that's something, and also the leaning into some of those like darker, earthy or smoky flavors. Not everything goes there, but tea does go there and whiskey does go there. So that's really cool. I usually hear it the other way around. Being in this whiskey community and having a tea house, because all these people come from, Whiskey Tribe and Modern Rogue. They see us on these shows, and they come to the tea house because that, and they're definitely coming from the whiskey world and being like, oh, what about tea? But I think anytime that you can have one be the analogy for the other, it does a lot of heavy lifting as far as helping someone to conceptualize what this world is.
For sure. I definitely thought with tea, I'm still learning about all the different processing there are for each individual type, but I love that small changes make big flavor impacts.
Yeah.
What would you like people to know about Fused Spirits? So, where is your passion for Fused Spirits? Why is it important that these collaborations are fun to do? What expressions should the consumer look for?
At Fused Spirits, we're still a small distillery. We may be owned by Heaven Hill now, but we're just a bunch of individuals who are creative, and I feel just about trying new things, trying different ways of fermentation. We actually make a koji whiskey, which is a lot of fun too. So
what's the grain? What's the mash?
So we have done one with rye, and then we use rice to grow the koji on, and we use that and a soft winter wheat as well.
Wow,
Yes.
Cool.
So
that's awesome.
We've only
I'd
done it
love
as
to
an
try it.
Illinois release so far, but we've been putting some koji whiskey away each year.
Really?
Last
What's
year-
it like?
I feel like koji brings a certain because I feel like it converts the starch instead of the malt, but it is like a fungus, so it kind of gives it a funky edge. And I think
Cool.
each one has been completely different because we've played with different strains of koji.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's been fun too, because one of them we nicknamed, tried using, and we've also played with different yeast, but one of them definitely had a tomato soup vibe from the distillate. One of them was very, very honey orange, blossom. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So my first reference for Fused Spirits was on the Mafio Drinks podcast, and he was interviewing one of the founders of Fused Spirits, Paul Letgo. And so that was my first introduction. Now I'm introduced to you. I don't know Paul. All I've heard is him talking on a podcast. I don't know what he looks like. to me now, you're the face.
Oh.
Whenever I'm walking through the spirits aisle and I point at Virginia Distillery, it's like, yes, my friend Amanda Beckwith is the blender. Now it's going to be, yes, my friend Erin is the one doing the distilling. So this is fantastic. This is how I relate and learn more about the spirits, is person to person with this kind of interaction, because people can sometimes be presented two-dimensionally. Spirits also are presented just through marketing, and it's really hard to get the heart of that spirit, and I think this type of conversation brings that about, and I appreciate you being here and showing us what you're doing. So Han, the tea that we had today was
7-color flower Sheng Bing. I think it's on the website. If we have it in the tin, we must have it in stock. But yeah, that's a really nice one. It's a great starter Sheng for people who have not had Sheng Puerh or just Puerh in general, because it does have those flowers. It's very tasteful, very, very demure, not too floral, overly floral, but complements the taste of Sheng well. So I think it's a really good Sheng Puerh if you've never explored Sheng Puerh, to try that out. And then apparently pours really well with whiskey. So
perfect. So follow us and check out the next episode, because we're going to talk to Amanda about what's happening at Virginia Distillery. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm out.